There's a place I travel when I want to roam, and nobody knows it but me. The roads don't go there, and the signs stay home, and nobody knows it but me. It's far, far away and way, way afar. It's over the moon and the sea. And wherever you're going, that's wherever you are, and nobody knows it but me. We all are probably familiar with famous gay men of the past, from Alexander the Great to the likes of Leonardo da Vinci, painter of the Mona Lisa, and said to be the most brilliant human being ever produced by our species. Da Vinci said this: "I have been impressed with the urgency of doing. Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Being willing is not enough, we must do." Michelangelo, widely regarded as the most famous artist of the Italian Renaissance, creator of the David, Pieta, and the Sistine Chapel. Oscar Wilde, he was an Irish writer, best known for his novel The Picture of Dorian Gray, and a number of movies have been made from this. And he is also known for his infamous arrest and imprisonment for being gay in 1895. Tennessee Williams was a great American playwright, winning the Pulitzer Prize for drama for A Streetcar Named Desire, and also later for Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. These are just a few of the great creative artists of the past, and the creative artists of today are legion. But this film will introduce you to another wonderful group of gay men, the likes of which permeate greatly throughout our entire country. Here we are focusing on gay men of the great southwestern USA, which, if we look closely wherever we are living in this amazing country, we will find gay men doing comparable jobs such as these exemplified in this film. In North American Indian tradition, two spirits, today they're called lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, they were honored and respected visionaries, healers, and medicine people. They have been documented in over 155 North American Indian tribes. The elders have said they were gifted among all beings because they carried two spirits, that of male and female. They were respected as fundamental components of their ancient culture and society.
My name is Jess Williams. I'm a native of Las Cruces, born and raised, and got my degrees here from New Mexico State University. I'm a proud graduate of Mayfield High School, class of 1977. It's a great place to live. It always has been. I think that it's one of the few places where there's just not a lot of discrimination of any kind. I've been fortunate to work as a newspaper editor for 14 years. I had a year here in Las Cruces and then traveled around quite a bit to Raton and Stephenville, Texas, and finished my newspaper career up in Taos, New Mexico. Then I came back here in 1995 and got the job at the Doñana County Manager's Office as the Director of Public Information. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to be outdoors. I like the Corlitas Ranch and the West Mesa. I used to have a Jeep, and my ex and I actually taught him how to drive a four-wheel drive, and we've explored around there quite a bit and quite frequently. Just feel very blessed to live in Las Cruces and to live in a community that's so very open to people of every, I don't know how to even say it. It's just open to everybody, and it's an engaging community, it's an active community, it's an artistic community. It's a fun place to live and to have a career.
Storm, 2 lengths to Ghostly Little Rita. Back on the inside is Bo's Babe, trying to get home is Simply Source from the back. Top of the stretch of Vanessa Flagg, she's doing it pretty well. Vanessa Flagg, she is out by 2 lengths to Kelly Storm. Bo's Babe on the inside under a left-handed whip, but still. My name is Robert Geller, and my job is as a track announcer, and I work at 2 racetracks. The winter season at Sunland Park Racetrack and Casino, which is in New Mexico, southern New Mexico, and in the spring and summer in Seattle area at Emerald Downs Racetrack. I grew up with this as a very young child, going to the racetrack, and I developed the desire to call races from a very, very young age. It was a recreational interest. I pursued it very seriously when I got into my early 20s, but oddly enough it was in Hong Kong, outside of Australia, that I got my very first really big break, and that was a very international setup, and I was the English commentator there. Obviously they had a Chinese commentator, but I learned a lot about the industry from that experience. I was there 6.5 years, from 1989 until 1996, and then an opportunity to work in the United States presented itself in Seattle when they opened a new track, Emerald Downs, and I've also acquired this job at Sunland Park Racetrack and Casino that's been about 12 years now. So my journey has been extremely surprising to me across the world, really. I'd never expected that. I always thought that I would like to have worked in Australia, but then I'd always wanted to travel, and somehow it just mapped itself out this way.
My name is Jeff Anderson, and I'm a Doñana County Extension Agent, and I work for New Mexico State University. And I really love what I do. I work with children from pre-kindergarten all the way up to the State Department, people coming over from Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Kyrgyzstan. And we don't just teach people how to grow plants or look at plants here. What we do is we get them out into the field and we really get down and show them what the farmers are doing here. So we teach them everything that they need to know to be successful, even in their own countries. And being with school kids, I tell you, that's one of the most important things that I find in my life, because the kids are our future of this country. And getting down and working with those kids and showing them how plants grow, what it takes to grow plants, is really where it's at. And seeing the joy on their face that they can grow something and ensuring that they have that future of agriculture to go to is really what I enjoy doing in my life.
I grew up in a small town of maybe 3,000 in southern Colorado back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. During my high school years, I was involved in a few sports. In the later years in high school, I got more involved in school politics, was class president for several years, student council president. I decided that I wanted to go to college, so I attended about 1 year of college and decided that wasn't for me, so I pursued a career in the federal government. I was hired with the FBI in Washington, D.C. I spent about a year with them and then transferred over to Drug Enforcement Administration in Washington, D.C. Then transferred from D.C. to Denver for a couple years. Shortly after that, I applied and was selected for a position as an investigator with Internal Revenue Service. And the investigative duties included running background investigations. In 2008, I decided it was time to retire, and I packed up and moved to Las Cruces, New Mexico, where I am today.
Hi, I'm Monty Sarvo, and I grew up on a farm in northwest Ohio on Lake Erie, outside of Toledo, in Amish and Mennonite country. My father was born of Italian immigrants, and my mother Native American Irish from French, Scottish. And I'm the youngest of 5. We grew up hunting and growing our own crops. Then I moved to Miami, lived there most of my adult life. Have always been involved in community things. I always tried to travel a lot. I lived out in the islands in Antigua, north of South America. And I ended up moving to Atlanta for about 4 years. And then a little over 10 years ago, I moved here to New Mexico. And now I've come full circle from being a guy in a three-piece suit in a software business that I owned for many years, where I traveled all over the world with it, and now I'm back to farming. I do all natural farming. I got chickens, ducks, and goats, and I'm on the farmers market board here locally and involved in other community things. I've been on the school board, and that's who I am and what I'm about.
My name is Lalo Natividad, and I am a transplant in Mesilla from El Paso, Texas. We moved here for a property investment, which is this house that I'm sitting in now. And I have been a resident here over 40 years now. I have been involved in the cultural activity in Mesilla. The culture, the tradition. Since I'm Hispanic, I like to preserve the architecture. I'm a good adobe mason. I love to cook with chile. I like the music, ballet folklorico. I like mariachi music. So anything that is associated and affiliated to the historic aspects of Mesilla. And this area is very loaded with activity that we have a lot of history, layers and layers of it. And I have all of a sudden become part of it, and I really enjoy it. The architecture part of it, I have become an excellent adobe mason. And you will see around my property proofs of that affinity.
I'm Dr. Jake Adams. I live here in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I am a gay man. I'm 53 years old, and I come from Kentuckians and Arkansans in my background and was raised in Southern Illinois. And when I was in my 20s, I was in a horrible car accident that kind of woke me up and got me on with my education. I'm a geropsychologist, an expert at aging. I work with students and I work with patients. I work with homebound folks and do a lot of home visits with mostly elder, frail adults in my homebound practice, and then in my office practice I see an array of different folks from children all the way through the lifespan. I was asked to participate in this film relative to we gay men of the Southwest that continue to aspire towards some higher visions for our cultures, our indigenous cultures as well as our general culture in this country, and the ways some of us gay men are contributing in ways that are not so stereotypical.
So as a newspaper editor, being a gay man was kind of interesting, especially when I edited the paper in Stephenville, Texas, very conservative community, a dry county. It was a great job, but there was some adversarial relationship there, and I shouldn't say adversarial, but different ways of looking at the world. And but I spent 2 years there, and we made the circulation actually go up. Taos was a much different experience. It didn't really matter whether you were gay or not in Taos. People just wanted to know if you were honest and whether you could do your job. Came down here back home in 1995 and took the job at Doña Ana County as the public information officer. And really, being gay hasn't factored into that so much. I was instrumental in getting Doña Ana County to add sexual orientation to the anti-discrimination clause in, I believe that was in 2000. And I just talked to a commissioner about it one day, and he said, you know what, that should be part of of who we are and what we do, and it's the right thing. So we were a little ahead of the curve. Way back in the 80s, I founded a group called Lambda Las Cruces, which later became the first organized and recognized gay and lesbian group on campus at New Mexico State University. And I was the founding president when I was in Taos of the New Mexico chapter of the National Lesbian and Gay Journalists Association. Sometimes when people find out that I'm gay, they're surprised. They say, well, you don't fit the stereotypes, you don't talk the way I would expect. And I think a lot of that comes from the stereotypes that we get from some of the mass media. I think when you look back at Will and Grace, which was a groundbreaking show, I think it made it easier for young gay people for that to be on television. Ellen is a great role model. She also doesn't fit the stereotypes. Being gay is just a label, and it's just one of many labels that I can apply to myself. I'm an animal advocate. I'm a writer. I'm a homeowner. I'm a Jeep enthusiast. There's just all kinds of labels that we apply to ourselves and other people apply to us. And I think that one of the great things about this film is that it's going to show who we are outside of those stereotypes and how we contribute to the communities in which we live. I don't know, I think I forgot to tell you in the other room that I'm also an ordained minister, and so I get to do weddings from time to time. It's a whole lot of fun, and it's a little ironic that I can only stand on one side of the altar. I can't legally get married, but I can perform those marriages.
Well, I knew I was gay when I was 11. I mean, I'd always been attracted to men, and men are hot. I think it's interesting because, the coming out process, I came out at 21 to my family. To people in the industry, it was a process. It took me a while, but I am out. Very proud of that. It was not a matter of me fitting into the industry as I thought. It was more a matter of me standing up for who I was, saying, this is what I love to do. This is who I am. These are my friends. I have a gay community that I belong with. And I also have a straight community that I belong with, and I can marry the two. The reality is that there's no separation. It's just that I had to learn to stand up for who I was and say, this is it, this is who I am. Respect me, I respect you. I think everyone's pretty tired at the racetrack of hearing how I'm attracted to Mark Sanchez, but it's fun. We have our levity, we have our fun. We know that this is what Robert's about, this is what he's about, and that's what I like about being out. It's just so freeing.
I'll tell you, it started when I was 50 years old. 50 years, that's how it began. I knew I was gay when I was a little kid, but it's kind of difficult when you grow up in a family and have a father that's very abusive, and you're just trying to survive each day. It doesn't matter if you're gay or not gay, anything about your life, you're just trying to live. I finally came out when I was 50 years old. 50 years. And I often think about it. It's interesting how the past is and how I survived it, but I did, and it's been good. People are far more accepting. Maybe in the past they wouldn't have been, but they've been very accepting in everything I've done. And I don't know if I can be truthfully honest in every situation. I do a lot of different work. And I don't run into the situation and say, hey everybody, I'm gay. I don't look for sympathy, I don't look for anything. I just want to be a man. I'm no different than any other man walking down the street. Everybody has their own problems, their own situations, they have their own religious beliefs, they have all kinds of different things that they do, whether it's food they eat or whatever. The only thing that's different for me from another man is that I like other men. I love other men. And I think men are wonderful. And I don't think that makes me any different than any other person on the street. And that's why I actually don't like the term gay. I don't like the term homosexual, I don't like the term gay. I'm a man, and I'm no different than anybody else.
Back in those days, being gay was something that you just didn't acknowledge to anybody. You really didn't even acknowledge it to yourself. I ended up getting married. I was married for about 20 years, 21 years. I have 2 great daughters that I just love very much, who are very accepting of me. In the workplace, I found it somewhat difficult to live the gay life. There were a few people that I was comfortable telling about my lifestyle, but there were others that it was just not possible because it wasn't accepted very well, especially in the area where I worked. I guess one of the things I'm trying to say is I'm just a regular person. I would like to tell people that don't know me as being gay and that I would say or come out to, I would like to say I'm the same person now that I was a minute ago before I told you. And that's just really pretty much the summary of my life. Being gay is just that. It's no different than being straight. I can live the same kind of life. I have the same goals as anybody else. So that's just the last thing that I wanted to cover with you on my journey.
As a gay person, I never really saw the need to define myself as such publicly, nor to hide it, either one. I think I was fortunate in that being the youngest of 5 children, I grew up learning from my older brothers and sisters, and I never really came out. I never really needed to. It was never an issue in my family. I was married. I have a son. I came to grips with where I needed to be, moved on with my life, and it never defined me. And the only thing I can say about that is that I think we should be defined by what we do.
Currently, between taking care of my patients well and aiming to take good care of myself, keep myself fit and healthy, I also am in a long-term relationship. My partner's name is Ricky, and he works for the state of New Mexico. He's the state controller and works very closely with the governor, and I'm really honored and proud of him. We also have a 7-year-old son. We adopted when we were about 45. Now I'm 53, and Rico's 7 years old, and he's thriving. It's an amazing thing to think how many orphans we have on the planet that are not fed well, and how many of us are really great parents and ready to step up for the responsibility to keep those babies warm and safe. So that's a really important aspect of my life, that I'm 53 and I'm a parent, and I've spent a lot of time and energy breaking a lot of my family curse around people not treating each other so kindly, or being violent or prejudiced. I'm one of those people that I was born and kind of always had a deep knowing that I was gay, and into a family that didn't accept that very well at all. My father disowned me when I was 16, and I wrote him when I was 50, and that last 9 months of his life was a real opportunity for me to reconcile with myself relative to a lot of that history and correct things for the way I was as a parent, and wanting to be a better papa every day for my son's sake. And so a lot of great things are happening in my life, and I feel really wonderful about living in Santa Fe, a wonderful place for me to raise my son and be in a family that's so culturally diverse and inclusive, especially coming from a history where the cultures were exclusive, excluding of others and excluding of ourselves from each other. And so I love being a geropsychologist. I love my role in the community. I love the network of people I know, from the folks that are nursing assistants and doing the dirty work that direction, to social workers that are trying to pass messages along to the good doctors and dentists we have that are doing a lot of pro bono these days. Our healthcare system is so broken when we exclude dentistry and mental health from our general health care. We do great harm, and it's an inhumanity to children and elders and all of us that deserve to have reasonable health care. There are plenty of us healthcare providers that are credentialed and willing, and access to health care is a ridiculousness. Also, that we've seen the world lose its spirit around even this last debate, presidential debate. I didn't hear much talk about feeding the hungry, and that's on us humans to do that, and we're not doing it. And there are higher conversations that just don't seem to be being had, and it's on we humans to know we are of the same tribe, all of us, and we're all in this thing together, and it's on us to take one corrective step after another. I'm having the most amazing life, being who I really am, telling the truth.
My partner and I, he passed away 6 years ago. We were together 40 years, and we proved to society what gay people really can be. We have done a tremendous contribution to the gay community in this area. I hope that other gay people can appreciate what Mr. Weeks and I did in this area in the Southwest to the community in the art world. It's not a matter